Hello, I'm student Dr. Gunnar Parent, and I'm going to be presenting our research titled Pediatric Autoimmune Clinical Trial Discontinuation and Non-Publication, an Analysis of the National Library of Medicine. Beginning with some background on our topic, the prevalence of pediatric autoimmune diseases, such as type 1 diabetes and juvenile idiopathic arthritis, have continued to rise in the previous decade. Additionally, autoimmune diseases often require complex treatment options that pose challenges to healthcare professionals. These obstacles are often met via initiation of clinical trials. The NIH annually invests approximately $1 billion to autoimmune disease research alone. And the pediatric population poses a multitude of barriers regarding trial enrollment and initiation, as they are viewed as a vulnerable population and should not be engaged in clinical trials unless absolutely necessary. And these barriers often result in non-publication, delayed medical advancements, unnecessary risk, and the squandering of research funds. Our objectives assess the characteristics and rates of discontinuation of pediatric autoimmune clinical trials registered with the National Library of Medicine between 2008 and 2021. Moving on to our methods, using clinicaltrials.gov, we performed a cross-sectional study on all pediatric autoimmune clinical trials conducted from 2008 to 2021. Trials included in our study were pediatric autoimmune clinical trials with an interventional treatment. The following data was extracted: the trial's phase, intervention, autoimmune disease type, trial status, and intervention type. We then assessed rates of discontinuation by trial characteristics. Lastly, we determined the rates of publication versus non-publication of completed and discontinued trials. From our search, 2,009 trials were initially returned. Of those, 1,098 met inclusion criteria. The most commonly studied autoimmune disease types were type 1 diabetes with 60.5% and arthritis with 15%. The most common intervention was pharmacological, which was 49.4%. We found that 17.1% of studies were discontinued and 18.9% were completed. 395 trials had a status of completed or discontinued. 91.3% of completed trials and 81.9% of discontinued trials did not have preliminary results published. Here we have summarized our results in the two tables. The first table being the clinical trials for pediatric autoimmune diseases and intervention types by trial status, and then the other one is publication status of clinical trials that were either completed or discontinued. In conclusion, our results suggest an alarming rate of discontinuation and non-publication among pediatric autoimmune clinical trials. Trial discontinuation is warranted under certain conditions. However, the most common reasons are often preventable. The rates of discontinuation and non-publication may exacerbate barriers to pediatric trials and reveal how subjects' rights are not validated, as outlined in the Declaration of Helsinki. We urge the AAAP, the NICHQ, and other institutions to formalize accountability for researchers through process and policy. Here are our references. This is our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My name is Gunnar Parent. Thank you.